when some OTT channels have refused The Diplomat because they didn't find it great. They rejected the film, they threw it out. And me and my director had a dialogue with the students. That is the right promotion. But if I went to some ABC Falana Digra, mall and college and I started dancing and saying Diplomat, 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 people say, are you mad? I think we don't have creative producers anymore. We are producing traders. When you marry that houseful board with the kind of content you've created, it's the best feeling in the world. Can give you goosebumps. The difference is I've probably failed more than the others. When you keep getting beaten, whipped, what happens? You become thick-skinned, right? So that's probably the best kiss I've got in my life, and it's from Shah Rukh Khan and not from a woman. Those are my yellow trunks and these are my white shorts. Life goes on. Maybe I'll wear another pair of shorts in the next 2-3 years. It'll be fun. And for me, working with Akshay is like going on a holiday. He's a nice bloke. So we'll have a good time.
In today's market, the films are being made based on iska digital recovery itna hai, satellite itna hai.
I just want to shake your hand on that. Fantastic.
Welcome to Pinkvilla, John. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you.
And before we start the conversation, I want to tell you, I watched Diplomat on Saturday. And I was so surprised by the film, not because of the content, but because of the fact that the film doesn't deviate even for a minute from what it is. Like, usually it's very easy to add in the commercial trappings.
Correct.
In a film based in this setup.
Correct.
So now my question to you is, as an actor, how confident are you to do films which are devoid of the commercial elements and stay to the point? Like make an honest film.
I've just done it.
Yeah.
In the Diplomat, and I think that's very important. For example, my director had a vision, and his vision was, which was actually shocking, because when we spoke to the real Uzma, we realized that there were no creative liberties taken in the film. Absolutely. And his vision was to make an honest film and tell an honest story. And I think as a team, we all stood by that. As an actor, I stood by that, and I listened to my director's vision, and I said, listen, I'm a means to an end. This is what he wants to make, and we are vehicles to carry that to the very end. And I think we all did a fairly decent job at doing that.
No, I think a very good job at doing that. You are being modest by saying decent. The reason for this, to ask you this question, is towards the end, when there's the car chase happening.
Correct.
Somewhere in the back of my mind, I was like, John is driving. I'm sure he'll get down and beat them up.
Yeah.
But then you stick to the story, and it's just the chase which goes on.
Absolutely. Even in the embassy, there's a scene where they walk in and they say, "Ye Pakistan hai, hamari milkiyat hai, usko bahar leke aao." And people expect me to hit.
Yeah.
Or when I change and I get out of the car, I take out my suit, people say there's going to be an action scene. But the idea is that you're playing a character, and it's very important that your character is nuanced and it's real. If it's nuanced and it's real, and you're getting your message across to the audience through your expressions and the way you're looking at another character, then you've effectively done your job. So everything is, especially this film, is not about the action.
But does the action image ever come in your way when the offers are coming your way? Because I'm sure you would be flooded with offers in the action space. So do you see that as a hindrance at any point of time?
Yeah, they do come my way. But I think in my career, and I'm just saying this, Himesh, I was just talking to my director, Shivam Nair, and I was talking to my producers, Jatish and Samir of Fortune Films. We were all sitting together, and I was saying that now with the Diplomat, there is going to be a huge deviation in the way people see me. It happened in Madras Cafe, it went back to action. It happened in Parmanu, it went back to action. But the Diplomat has made people really sit up and take notice that we are very ballsy about what we do. And I am very clear that I'm a risk taker and I'm going to do different stuff. So it's people are going to see me in a very different light after this film.
That's true. Even when I watched it with my family, my mom and dad were also like, they were surprised to see you underplay the character.
Correct.
There are times when Uzma's character takes the lead and you are very confidently taking a back seat. That's a sign of a very secure actor.
And I think the script and the scene needed it. And I think And this is the beauty about the way we look at cinema today. And even when you see that when we are critiqued over a period of time, I think the beauty is in the subtlety. And today, and if you go and look back at certain films and you see certain performances with any actor, maybe with me also in the past, and you see they're a wee bit over the top, you wouldn't accept that today. You'd call it overacting. So I think the beauty is in the subtlety, the nuances, and the realism with which we are performing this. But again, it all comes from a director. You're as good or bad as your director. And my directors are damn good directors. So the rest is out there for people to see.
Actually, that was my next question. You have done many films set against the backdrop of real incidents. Is there a way you identify these stories that they are apt to make it to the big screen?
This was identified by Jatish and Sameer. They identified this story from the time they saw it. When Uzma came into India and touched the ground, they saw this on TV and they said, we want to make this story. From there, Shivam joined them and they were together as a team and they stuck with it. For me, personally, because I'm pretty aware geopolitically, I know what is happening, these spaces come to me very, very easily. So the minute I read this script, I said, this is beautiful. I want to do this. I must make this happen. And we made it happen.
And John, you are amongst the very few actors who has not ventured at all in OTT.
Yeah.
You have made sure your films make it to the big screen.
Yeah.
Is that a conscious decision on your part?
Yes, it is a conscious decision, but never say never. There could be a film that could merit going on OTT rather than on the big screen. Sometimes you can't make the call.
Yeah.
Sometimes a producer for commercial reasons will make a call. And if you are just an actor on the film, you may have to comply. But if you ask me personally, I like the big screen. I enjoy coming on the big screen if I was given that option. Am I open to my films coming on OTT? It may be a little difficult for me to digest, but like I said, never say never.
Never say never. Maybe one day it just
Maybe I think OTT's got great content, and even Shivam's made. He's done Special Ops. He's done Mukbir, and these are OTT series. And if you see Mukbir and Special Ops, he's brilliant. And look at the actors he's worked with. So for me, it's a privilege working with a director who's worked with such good actors. But the idea is to still come on the big screen, and that's where I see myself.
And John, don't take me wrong with this question, but we are in an industry where you keep hearing a lot of things about films which are in the making. Now with Diplomat, because there was a delay in the release over the years, there were so many conversations happening about
Correct.
the content of the film
Correct.
for the longest time.
Correct.
And then when I watched the film, I was
Yeah.
like, wow, how is it that collectively everyone who were talking about it
Yeah.
before the release got it wrong? Now I
Yeah.
have two questions in this. Do these conversations reach you? And if they reach you,
Yeah.
how do you react to it?
So first of all, I don't take you wrong. I think you asked a brilliant question. These conversations do reach me. Very honestly, when a film's lying in the cans, the two people who have faith in it, and I'll be very honest with you, in the Diplomat's case, and this question could be asked to my director as well, the two people who are concerned with the making of the film at that point of time who have faith in it are the director and the actor. In this case, it was Shivam and me. We're the two people who saw sense in this. But the loss of faith happens from the studio. So when a studio sees the film, when it goes and does the rounds of OTT, because a studio may want to mitigate the risk by sending it to an OTT channel, when some OTT channels have refused the Diplomat because they didn't find it great. They didn't find it good. Now you can ask them. You can find out which are these channels, do your research, find out who these channels are. They rejected the film. They threw it out. So what happens is the studio presumably also gets scared and says, the film's not good. No one's liking it. And they keep it in the cans. So to answer your question, these conversations reach me. But you have to understand that the studio puts in money in these films. So sometimes they are justified in that fear that they have. In the case of the Diplomat, we have proved the studio wrong. We have proved the OTTs wrong. We have proved everyone wrong. And the best thing about the Diplomat, Himesh, is I can ask you this. What were your expectations before you saw it? Zero?
Yeah.
That's it. Expectations of everyone was zero. So from zero, When you don't go to a 2, 3, but you go straight to a 10, and people are like, oh, wow, this is crazy. I've had people coming and telling me, does this studio know that they've got the best film in the last 10 years under their belt? That's a victory for me. And I think that's a victory for my director. That's a victory for my producers, Jatish and Sam, who got this script. So for all of us, as a unit, I'm sitting here because I know we write obituaries in our industry, and they say, "Arey yaar, collection itna hi hoga, itna hi hoga." You know how it works. I feel, and mark my words, the Diplomat will hold. It'll hold. It'll hold. It'll only fall if the studio and the distributor lose faith in it. The studio needs to market this film because you're not marketing something that no one has seen. You're marketing something that people have seen and said is a brilliant film. So now the ball is not in our court anymore. Shivam Nair, John Abraham have done their job.
Yeah.
People have seen it, people like you and your parents, they've appreciated it. Now it's up to the studio to put their might behind it and make this film run for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Because it has got legs.
Yeah.
The Diplomat has got legs. I will feel the studio has done its job if my second weekend is bigger than my first weekend. If not, we've all failed.
And you have the faith to push it till like...
I will push it. Yeah. But I'm an individual. By me doing 40 interviews is not marketing. Marketing, there are 4 P's of marketing: product, place, price, and promotion. You know this. I am only addressing one of the 4 P's of marketing by giving 40 interviews. There are other factors that make marketing. Hoardings, press, print, TV, now digital, probably the most important. How do you push these units? How do you get people to see it? That's a prerogative of the studio. How do you hold on to screens? That's a prerogative of the distributor. Now the studio and the distributor, when they sit together, for them, they don't see the film emotionally like we do. Any studio, they don't see the film like we do. We see it emotionally and we say we've created a beautiful piece of art. They look at numbers and they say if the numbers don't add up, we're not going to push it. So it depends. Is that producer going to take that creative risk of doing it? Only time will tell from now.
But the film is holding on to a certain number.
Oh, it will.
Yeah, and I think with the second weekend round the corner, there will be big spikes in the
It
business.
will be big spikes and it'll hold on even after the second week. Mark my words.
Yeah, I'm sure that there is merit and there are enough people to consume this content.
Yeah. And I mean, look at it. Your family went. There are amazing families that want to see content that's honest, that's true. And we are delivering that. And if this film does well, it will give me and directors like Shivam Nair the power to make more films like this, which I'm sure you want to see.
Yes, 100%.
You would want to see more films like this.
I was missing films like Madras Cafe and Parmanu, which we finally got to watch last week.
So. And then who made those films? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I want to go out and make more of these films.
But John, you touched upon marketing. There is a big change in definition of marketing in the post-COVID world. How do you view that, and how are you adapting to the new era of cinema which has come in the post-COVID world?
So I think it's a double-edged sword, if I may say so. And in the case of the Diplomat specifically, now just imagine if I had personally promoted this film aggressively by going for 40 shows, you would have questioned the credibility of my marketing. Yeah. One of the biggest credible things that we have done on this film, the service that we have done on this film, is by marketing it and speaking about it where it needs to be spoken about. And I think that's something you need to understand about the complexities of marketing today, because the digital media can pick up anything and take anything from anywhere. You don't want to be irresponsible in your marketing. You've seen films in the past where people have blatantly marketed it and you see how they've been trolled.
Yeah.
You know this.
I know, yeah.
They've been trolled. I didn't want to be part of that story. It's not about being trolled. I didn't want to be part of the story where the credibility and the stature of a film like Diplomat would be marketed in another way. Yeah. And were we given those options? Yes, we were given those options. I chose not to do it.
True. But John, when we talk of marketing and exposure to in terms of city tours and everything, do you think there is an overkill in today's time with regards to the stars? when overexposure, I would say.
Totally.
And that overexposure is the reason why we are not even having many stars, because you are available for free at a click of your...
Exactly. One of the reasons why I didn't want to do OTT, but there's nothing against OTT. I think when a star overexposes himself digitally, and the city tours where they go for and this I tell every studio, it's a waste of your money. A city tour is not going to help. Like, for example, the Diplomat. If I went to Sushma Swaraj's institute in Delhi, and she has an institute there, and her students saw this film, and me and my director had a dialogue with the students, that is the right promotion. But if I went to some ABC Falana Digra, mall and college, and I started dancing and saying Diplomat, 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 people say, are you mad? Throwing things. So that's not the way you market a film anymore. But I guess, when you're closing in onto a film, the insecurity creeps in and you want to. I stand by my choices I've made. I stand by the marketing decisions I've made and the amount I marketed this film. And you can ask anybody about whatever I've spoken through this campaign. And I believe it's only sense.
True.
Yeah.
In fact, I have been reading comments on the social media where people are saying that there is an actor who is so aware about the global socio-political situation out there. Because I think at one of the interviews you also spoke about the entire Russia conflict and everything, which has been taken up very well by people.
Yeah.
So I think you are well read about everything that's happening, and that's also one of the reasons why you pick up the right script when it comes to these real life incidents.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah.
And you are a reader. You like to read everything that's happening around.
I love reading anything and everything that's happening around outside of film gossip. Not because I'm part of the industry, but by reading this is not going to help my processes. So anything that helps my process, I read on.
You read on. And has there been a moment when you are reading? You are just reading in your leisure time or something, and you come across a story, and you are like, oh wow, this is something which no one knows, and probably there is something in it that I need to dig into and bring it to a larger. Has that happened? And if
just happened.
Oh.
Just happened. I read a story. I saw a podcast, and then I read up on this guy called Major Samartur. And he was part of the UN peacekeeping forces that went to South Sudan. And I said, this guy's story is interesting. Everybody seems to be making this, these battles with India and Pakistan, or India, China, and, but this is different and the terrain's different. So why don't we explore this and write something about this? And we've written a beautiful script.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now we need to find brave studios to take it.
I'm sure you would find someone. And John, just recently I wrote an article about the Excel sheet format of filmmaking and how that is an aspect which is destroying the content curation, because in today's market the films are being made based on iska digital recovery itna hai, satellite itna hai.
I just want to shake your hand on that. Fantastic. I want to read this article because please go on.
And budget itna hai to itna recovery hona hi chahiye, nahi to fir nahi banegi. And no one is speaking about content anymore. And back in the day, we have seen producers taking risk, keeping their house on lease or put whatever at stake and making films. What's your take on this entire aspect of I call it Excel sheet filmmaking. There are honest films being made, and you spoke about Diplomat being rejected by a lot of digital players. When I was researching about this article, I got to know that even Munja was rejected by all the OTT players, and eventually even the studio backing it had backed out.
Yeah.
And Dino took the brave call to release it himself.
He's a very brave producer. That boy is fantastic. Yeah. So I'll tell you what my take on it is. I don't think barring, and I've said this in innumerable interviews, I think barring Yashraj today, barring Aditya Chopra specifically, I think we don't have creative producers anymore. We are producing traders. Your Excel form. So a producer will make a film knowing that is satellite, digital, this is so much, and will make it and just then leave it to the...
Yeah.
It's gone. Yeah.
I think because there's no risk involved.
Correct.
जब आपका कुछ stake पे है तभी आप efforts डालोगे. कुछ risky नहीं है तो what's the point?
That's why we're making proposals today and not films.
Yeah.
So you have to decide what you want to make. And I think in Diplomat, we've actually made a film. And Himesh, I must compliment you. I really appreciate your questions. They're very pointed and very to the point and clear. They may be a little uncomfortable, but they are very clear. So in The Diplomat, I was just telling my director and my producers, I said, we didn't make this film. There's some films that just happen. The Diplomat happened, and the energy on the set was so beautiful, positive, and if you see all the performances by Shah Rukh, by everybody, by you know everybody on the film, uh, it is just beautiful because we all got along like a family on set. So I think we are blessed.
When was it that it last happened with you, where the entire set became a family and came together too?
Uh, I think any film where you have fun, in my case, most of the films that I've had fun on have worked. But they've also, some of them have not worked. But most of them that I've had fun on have worked. But most of them that I've not had fun on have failed. Can you imagine? So the energy has been so negative, and that passes on somehow. I'm not religious, I'm not one of those superstitious guys, but energy is science. And the energy passes on to the public, and they say, "यार इसमें problem हुआ ही हुआ है यार." You get that. Sometimes when you're watching this, ये सही नहीं गया इधर. But The Diplomat didn't have that. And when you see it, even with me and Vidhatri, one of the characters in the film, and we are talking, she comes out and she says, "Papa, मैं ये game नहीं खेल सकती हूँ, सीधा फोड़ दूँगी उसका सर." There's that beauty between us talking. Jagjit and Muzammil, who played Tahir and Bashir, outstanding actors, and one of the best scenes in the film, and that's where I give credit to my director. I thought it was my weakest scene in the film, where I walk out and I say, "क्या बात है ताहिर, आपने हाथ उठाया उस पे?" And that scene is one of the best scenes of the film. So our energies were so good that everything came together so beautifully.
In fact, even the first scene where the Uzma comes running, and the minute he presses the button, she runs in, and everyone inside the office are not willing to believe her. They think she's a suicide bomber.
Correct.
And that tension, that was also so beautifully shot and performed. And I think that is the moment which sets the momentum for the film.
And Shivam didn't allow any one of us to meet Uzma.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah, because he said if you meet her, there's going to be a familiarity, and that scene won't turn out to be authentic. So no one was allowed to see her. So when she ran in, and the expressions that you see everywhere, everybody are like, "Oh my God," it's like the first time you're seeing her. Just like the audience was seeing it for the first time. And they were honest expressions.
True. And I think a film works when what the director wants to convey is conveyed to the audience. Even when we are watching the film, in the first scene, even we think that this might
Kuch to hoga.
Kuch to hoga. What if she is a suicide? That element of doubt around the character
Always
is created.
Yeah.
And that's why when even you are being harsh to her in the film, we are not hating you.
Yeah.
Though we know that she is right, but we are not hating you because it's normal human psyche to doubt.
And the way I'm searching her, looking at her, searching her, my director kept telling me, you have to read her, search her. Something's up, something's not right about this. And we kept that going through the film. And if you see the progression from the animosity to finally seeing her across the border, the progression, the journey is so beautiful.
That's true. And I think the icebreaker in the film is the moment where you open up with her about the entire incident which has taken place in Kabul.
Yeah.
I think that is the moment where...
which also actually happened. Let me tell you something on record. Himesh, a lot of what we say when we say creative liberty in films, our creative liberty is 50%, 60%, 80%, 40%. The creative liberty in this film, barring those extra shots in the climax where we were shooting the last, I think the creative liberty is 5%. It is so correct. And when you see the press conference in the end, you realize that, man, these guys have shot such a blessed, honest film.
True.
Yeah.
And honesty always rewards. I always say a honest film will always... We have seen it. Be it Lapata Ladies last year.
Unbelievable.
Diplomat this year. People, eventually a film finds its audience. However,
people are already... I'm just saying this. People are telling me this should be a national award film. This should be a national award film. What are we doing? And this is not me talking. This is the reaction after they walk out. And the biggest consensus I get and the biggest reward I get is, Himesh, when people walk out, they say we clapped at the end of the film. And that's so beautiful. There's no bigger reward than that.
True, that audience. There's no one as honest as the audience.
Correct. Did you get that reaction when...
I got it. In fact, even I. And there was a sense of happy tears towards the end.
Yeah.
Even including I like myself.
And when you
it
see
touches-
Sushma ji, you really feel that moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
The minute she crosses the border and does this,
Oh,
that's
beautiful. That's a
moment where-
moment. Yeah.
yeah. And I think houseful boards, when as an actor, there's nothing more satisfying than a houseful board.
Yeah, there is. There's nothing, honestly, there's nothing more satisfying than that. And you know, when you marry that houseful board with the kind of content you've created, it's the best feeling in the world. It can give you goosebumps.
yeah. That's
That's
there.
yeah.
And John, the claps, the appreciation, and when people say that the film deserves a national award, the film deserves to be seen by more people, when it happens organically. See, in today's time, we are living in a very manufactured world where
Correct.
there's so much paid PR happening.
Yeah.
People are paid
yeah,
to say things,
yeah.
and cut to you. I can say this on camera. You are one of the very few actors.
We don't pay for
You don't
anything.
pay for anything.
Nothing.
You do zero
I don't have a
PR.
publicist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still, it has been 22 years. You made a debut in 2003 with
Correct.
yes. So 22 years.
Oh, yeah.
You are still there, strong,
Yeah.
working with your own terms and conditions.
Yeah.
How do you keep that going? Like,
First, the biggest support is my audience. If the audience doesn't support you, no one can. So I'd give credit to my audience for the fact that I even exist in this industry. Second is well-wishers like you and people in the trade who are well-wishers who still believe that I have it in me to tell good stories. I think that's most important. Third is the blessings of my family. Most important. Their blessings are always with me.
but you, through the years, you would have been offered services from multiple people that,
Yeah.
John, let's do this.
Yeah.
It would help you. It would create a perception.
I didn't.
No.
No, nothing. I didn't.
Oh, wow. No one has offered you as well. I mean,
They
no.
get scared. No one will dare come and offer me. No one will dare come to me and say, do this. Because see, I'm not trying to pretend here. If you're a man of principles, no, then you can't deviate this. So I ask a lot of people, I say, I don't even know what my projection is outside. Am I considered a good guy, bad guy? I don't know, But if you're a man of principles, then you don't need to take these services. The audience will see through all this. The audience knows who John Abraham is. They'll see through this and they're with you. Once they hold your hand, no? Once an audience holds your hand, you've arrived.
True. The way you said that people would be scared to,
Yeah.
it reminded me of a statement that Harbhajan Singh said once about Saurav Ganguly. That जब match fixing का scandal पूरा चालू था, no match fixer would ever dare to even make an offer to Ganguly because they know he would beat the set.
What a man, yeah,
Yeah.
Ganguly. I met him.
Oh.
Solid guy. And these principles take you a long way. Commercial success will come and go. Failure also will come and go. But credibility will always stay.
True. And it's one bad episode. Even that's something I follow as a journalist, that one bad thing that you do and your work of 10 years would go for a toss.
Absolutely. And you've been consistent with what you've been doing. I've been watching your master classes. I've been watching, and I think, and I said this to you just before we came in, I wouldn't say this for a lot of films, but I feel Diplomat deserves that masterclass where the audiences, really young audiences, would want to know
More
a
about-
lot more, especially from the director.
Oh, you definitely, like, after this, I'll coordinate and I'll
Yeah,
get that
we must.
for sure done.
Yeah,
And John, when we talk of your filmography,
yeah.
which is your favorite film?
I'd
Of
say
course,
that-
Diplomat.
Yeah,
one.
totally. Today, I would say this, and not out of any reason that I'm having this conversation with you today. The appreciation I've seen from the Diplomat is probably the most I've ever seen in my entire career. And I'll be very honest with you. I've seen that way post the release in those days, Madras Cafe. It happened when it came on on OTT.
Yeah.
But immediately after release, the reaction that I've got for this film is unparalleled. And so I'm grateful for it.
And for you to say, having done Madras Cafe, Force, having produced Vicky Donor, it's
Yeah.
a big statement because it comes
Yeah.
Batla House,
Parmanu.
Parmanu.
Parmanu's another film, very close to my heart. And again, that director's a gem, Abhishek Sharma. So, there are certain, Batla House, Nikhil Advani, fantastic. So there are certain directors that I worked with. Even New York, even though it was commercial in its base, there was a flavor about New York that was so beautiful and so special.
Yeah, New York is something which you can watch even today because it's
Yeah,
it blends the commercial elements with
correct.
something very important to
Correct.
and all the music and
Correct.
strong performance
Yeah.
and everything. So yes, John, 22 years in the industry, what does it take to survive?
Self-conviction. You have to believe in yourself, because at every step, someone's going to tell you that you're not as strong, you're not as good, you're not as good looking,
I don't think
you're not
anyone
as
would say.
creative. Now, I'm saying people will build those obstacles along the way. And even in your life, Himesh, as you go along, you'll have people coming along, and you'll ask yourself questions sometimes. And the only thing that'll get you through is you telling yourself that you're worth it. That's the only thing. And I've come here only on the belief that I am worth it. So anybody can tell me anything. I know that like, for example, in Diplomat, when I see it, I know my level of performance is so nuanced that I am proud of it when I see it. And I know there are 2 or 3 areas which I will discuss with my director where I must have fallen a little short. But the rest of the film, thanks to my director and thanks to my hard work and workshops, the nuances and the realism and the subtlety through the entire film the graph has been so consistent.
But you do workshops even
Yes. I need to do workshops. I need to do workshops on every film. And wherever I've done good workshops, it shows in a film, because you assume a different character. So you need to learn more about the character. And there's nothing wrong with doing it.
And you spoke about 3 or 4 scenes. Could you tell us one? Okay, if not from Diplomat, has there ever been a film where you like the film?
I'll tell you the scene
Yeah.
in Diplomat. In Diplomat, there's a scene, and this is the first time my director also will hear it. There's a scene where I'm looking out of the window and I'm talking to Ayush, who's one of the members in the office. And I say, क्या मैंने गलती कर दी इस लड़की को, and I just felt, obviously for the audience, it was quite a deep scene, and I was thinking, but it was a side profile shot. I felt the intensity in my eyes could have been a little more, because when I turned to him, I could have got that intensity just a little higher, for example. So as an actor, I wasn't really 100% convinced. So there are certain nuances in each. So people who think that because John Abraham has, it's about his physicality, I concentrate on these little nuances to make sure that the character is perfect. And when you see The Diplomat, you really forget John Abraham. You only think of JP Singh.
Yeah.
And that's the victory.
That's true. I mean, it's a very new John. Like we started the conversation saying it's a new John in the film. And after this also people will expect something new from you.
Of course. And we will give people new things all the time. That's the idea of doing this.
John, as a producer,
what
are the scripts that you are working on and it's there in your pipeline?
I'm working on a dark comedy with Shivam Nair.
Oh, wow.
And because he's got a great sense of humor. And I realized that in one of the scenes in The Diplomat, I shaved off half my mustache and I had one half on. And I saw his face and I started laughing, and I realized that we can do a dark comedy together, because he's got a great sense of humor, like a really dark sense of humor, but fun. So I would want to make that happen with him sooner than later. So we're working on that. And I'm working on this film that I spoke to you about, Major Samartur's film, Malakal. Malakal is a place in South Sudan.
Okay.
Where a unit it's like 13 hour secret soldiers of Benghazi.
Okay.
It's in that space. So I'm working on that. And yes, Abhishek Sharma and me are working on something very interesting. So I'm working with different people on very, very different subjects and the first thing, Himesh, what I want to hear is, this is absurd. How can you make this happen? If I hear that, I'm going to make it happen.
Okay.
If I hear that it's predictable, I won't make it happen.
Wow. And you're open to feedbacks from...
Oh, totally. Honestly, criticism, you have to take criticism constructively. You can't be an actor on a high horse and say, how dare he say that about me? Because what will that do? That will do 2 things. Out of fear, you'll go to that critic and you'll sit and with folded hands and say, listen, let's talk, let's work together. Or you'll start recharting your career where it's not supposed to go. You have to be convinced, like I said, self-conviction, and be open to criticism. There is no harm in criticism.
Like, it's basically how we take it in life. It's okay to fail.
I've built my career, like I've said, only on failure. I'm very happy failing. I don't have a problem. I'm not scared. If you have fear, That's your first sign of defeat. You can't have fear.
But in the 22 years, has your way of dealing with success and failure changed?
Yeah, it's been pretty consistent, but what's happened now is I don't get euphoric after success, and I don't get dejected after failure. So I'm just at a flat line. Nothing affects me. Nothing affects me negatively. And what I try and do is, if I'm sitting in a room, Himesh, even if I'm talking to you, I'm sitting somewhere, I'll always try and bring positivity to that entire space because that makes all the difference.
Correct. No, because there are a lot of people who get into the thinking space with failure. के क्या करना चाहिए? Is my mindset going off? Am I being wrong with the script selection? Am I not understanding the audience? Has that phase come?
Yes, of course, it's come. But the difference is I've probably failed more than the others. So for me, when you keep getting beaten, whipped, what happens? You become thick skinned, right? So my hide has become a lot more thicker. So I'm used to that. Do I think? Do I analyze? Yes, I analyze. The difference between an actor who succeeded and failed and who thinks like this is he's dejected. With me, I strategize.
Wow.
I say, what's my next move? Okay, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened.
Wow. And John, we are in an industry where people are quick to stereotype you in a certain space.
Absolutely.
Like, now you did a Pathan.
Yeah.
I'm sure there must have been 7 to 10 producers, directors who would have
More.
come to you. Oh, more.
More.
With a negative role, like Jim.
From the south, from the north, from the east, from the west, from everywhere. It takes me anywhere between 5 and 7 seconds to refuse that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, that was my question. How
Yeah.
difficult is it to say no?
Easy. My father taught me one thing. Learn to say no as easy as it is to say yes. So I say no. That's it.
Wow.
Finished. Over.
That's something I need to learn for sure. I can't
Yeah.
say no to people
Yeah.
for some reason.
I'll teach you. I'll teach you how to do it. And you've got a beautiful smile. You can say no with a smile. Try it now. Just say no.
No.
That's it. Lovely. Beautiful. You just said no. It's okay.
Okay, John, last couple of questions. Firstly, we spoke about Jim. That's a character which is so loved.
Yeah.
And I know there have been plans to make a spin-off to that.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows, a backstory to Jim
Yeah.
or something else.
Yeah.
What have been your discussions with Adi on that?
So with Adi, only he knows in his head what he's discussing with himself. Yes, there have been discussions. I hope it sees the light of day. But I honestly, and it's not like I'm trying to keep something away. I can't comment on it because I too don't know. But I hope it happens. It looks like, it looks interesting. So I hope it happens.
Because there was a dialogue. Hopefully, a backstory with Kabir would be cool with you and Hrithik. You have
Yeah,
a great bond as well. So
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. And I think he's such a wonderful boy. And we're classmates. So it will be great to work with him.
Yeah. And John, there is Tehran up for release next. That's
Yeah.
another very interesting film from
Very.
what we have read about it.
Yeah,
Could
fantastic.
you tell us
film.
something on...
Yeah, it's being produced by Dinu Vijayan, a fantastic producer. I mean, everybody knows that. It's been directed by Arun Gopalan. Again, he's another kid on the block who's fantastic. So, very excited about that. The film's ready. And we just got some last bits left to do because we had to shoot a lot of Tehran. So, there's a lot of CG with Ayatollah Khomeini and, everything in the... But again, that's got a lot of action. And it's really, it's Hollywood high intense. And, sometimes you have to make a film that reaches out to everyone. So that's one of the films where I've spoken in Iranian, that's Farsi. I've spoken in Hebrew. I've spoken a wee bit in English, but of course it's a Hindi film and the rest of the film's in Hindi. So it's truly, when you say, yaar, India se क्यों ऐसी फिल्म नहीं आती है जो हम लोग बोल सकते हैं कि यार, can go anywhere. So I think Tehran's that film.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that should be this year.
That depends on Dinu. I would believe it will be soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And lastly, John, are you teaming up with Rohit Shetty? There are so many people who have been commenting
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
collaboration with him.
We've spoken. I'll be very honest with you. I'm very, very excited to work with him because, we've been wanting to do something together and we've spoken quite often. So I hope something very productive will come up really soon. That'll be great.
That's a very interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Like two different schools
Yeah.
coming together. It's always an exciting
yeah.
combo.
And the subject that we're talking about is a banger. That'll blow people apart. So I'm just, it's if it's two people, it's also the subject, and that's unbelievable. So we hope something good comes from there. We hope something good comes from Jim, and we hope I stay employed.
that I think
Yeah.
that is not going to happen where you won't have a.
No,
film.
I mean, I don't mind waiting in the wings till I don't get something good, But yeah, I want to do something funny. I want to do something really, light-hearted also, but interesting. I want to curate it. It should be written well.
But when we talk about something funny, now that you have said, Garam Masala memes are all over the place. And
Yeah,
even Desi Boyz for that
yeah,
matter. In comedy space, you and Akshay have had a phenomenal chemistry. I
Phenomenal,
don't
yeah.
think so. It's like,
I don't think two actors have had the kind of chemistry Akshay and I have
Yeah.
had. Yeah,
do you discuss a comedy? Has there been a discussion that
yeah.
it has been 13 years since Desi Boyz, let's
Yeah.
come together?
I speak to Akshay occasionally. Of course, Rohit Dhawan we speak to very often. He's a very close friend of mine. Rohit is more than just a filmmaker for me. He's like a younger brother to me, and I'm very close to him. He's done 2 films with me, Desi Boyz and Dishum. So I speak with him very often. Yes, we are very excited about making either or both of those films happen because they'll be fun. And for me, working with Akshay is like going on a holiday. He's a nice bloke, so we'll have a good time. Yeah.
That's also very exciting. If it happens, I'm sure it will blow away everyone's
Trust me,
mind.
I'll be the happiest.
Even I'll be the happiest. I love comedies.
Yeah, I love comedies because that's when you go to the theater, you want to laugh.
Yeah.
So I think comedies are fun. Yeah.
So you mentioned comedy. Are there any other genres in the back of the mind that you want to explore?
I think I can tell you what I can't explore. I can't explore an adult comedy. Outside of that, everything else, I'm not familiar with horror. So that's a space I don't understand very well. Outside of that, romance, I don't know. All my wives die at the start of the film. So, that's something I'd love to explore, romance, But yeah, comedy, situational, I love slapstick. I love any kind of comedy. I mean, I love Dhamal also. So I love everything that's really, really remotely funny. And so I enjoy that.
Comedies have a different vibe,
Yeah.
a different repeat value.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Amir sir recently spoke about the 8-week OTT window, wherein he said that the 8-week OTT window is also a problem why a lot of films are not working anymore in the theaters. How do you view the 8-week window, the concept of 8-week window,
Yeah.
and the repercussions of it on the theatrical medium?
I honestly, I would want to agree with him because I believe that you need a larger window, a longer window. And Amir comes with many more years of experience than I do. And he's way smarter than I am. So he understands the space way better. And I think what he says makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. If the window is longer, there's a longing for people to come and watch this theater here because there'll be a gestation gap before they see it on OTT. And maybe they don't want to wait for that long. So I'm one of those who would believe that if he has said this, that the 8-week window should be longer, then I'm a big supporter of that.
The industry should come together and make sure that the films come at least 16 weeks after the release, so that there is
You think this industry will come together?
It's impossible.
Exactly.
On the face, everyone will say, and then so yes, but let's hope something happens. If you,
If it
Amir, and
happens,
everyone,
Yeah, I mean, if Amir is leading the way, I think he's a good man to lead the way.
Yes. So, John, we have taken some of the images of yours with fellow actors from the industry and also your favorite thing, that is bikes.
Yeah,
We want you to share some memories or behind the scene
sure.
stories about them. The first one.
Yeah, this is a very sweet image. This was during the photo shoot. That's Akshay and me in Garam Masala.
Yeah.
And that image actually speaks about our relationship. We are actually that close, and we just enjoy. We do the boy thing, We just really, really enjoy each other's company, and we both wake up early. We both sleep early. He's truly very disciplined, I believe I'm a little more disciplined, but let him take that throne of being disciplined. But we have a great time.
That's, I think, your collection.
Oh yeah, that's my collection of motorcycles. Oh, that's beautiful. There are many more. There's a few of them. This, I remember, was during, I was doing an interview with Flying Beast, Gaurav Taneja, another wonderful boy, lovely boy. I was doing that interview and I think we got 18 to 20 crore views on this.
Wow.
It's crazy. I don't know. And it's not me, it's the bikes. Huh? I didn't get those views. The bikes got it and Gaurav got it.
Wow. I think people are fascinated with bikes, and you have a history with bike ever since.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Oh, that's one of my most iconic images. That's Manya Surve shootout at Vadala. And again, one of the directors I love, Sanjay Gupta. And I remember I trained so hard for this sequence. My best friend Munir is getting attacked. That's Tushar Kapoor, and I go to save him. And Sonu Sood is playing Daud in this, and I play Manya Surve. Luckily, with that body, I didn't get into a fight with Sonu Sood because he's bigger and stronger than me, and he'll throw me around.
I don't think so. It would be a fight of titans on there.
Yeah. He's a fantastic this.
I think this is Dostana.
So one is Dostana, the other is Pathan.
Oh, Pathan, yeah.
And this is 2008 and that's 2023.
People are saying you don't age.
Yeah. That's why I say it's all about fitness all the time. Those are my yellow trunks and these are my white shorts. Life goes on. Maybe I'll wear another pair of shorts in the next 2-3 years.
I'm sure. And even 10 years later.
I'm sure. Oh, that is lovely. So that's probably the best kiss I've got in my life, and it's from Shah Rukh Khan and not from a woman.
Yeah.
It's lovely. Yeah. That was Pathan, and that was at the success bash of Pathan, and you know, probably one of, if not the best co-stars I've worked with, Shah Rukh. What a beautiful man, beautiful human being, and very gracious.
He makes you feel comfortable. And despite being.
Yeah, he's so charming.
Yeah.
And like my manager once said, you know, he taught us the idea of love, you know, and it brought our world crashing down after that, because he's like the perfect man when he put his hands out, you know. Yeah.
You have two more.
Oh, that's Priya and that's Bailey and Sia. I mean, that's one of the most beautiful photographs I have, and there are a lot of memories attached with it. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Last, I think so.
Oh yeah,
the school picture, I think so.
That is.
It's floating now on social media.
It is.
Yeah.
So that's Hrithik there on the top row. That's me on the bottom row. I'm in a Scouts uniform. And Hrithik was always good. And by the way, you know, in school, he was so good, like he is now. He's probably the best dancer you have, right? But in school also, he was so good in breakdance. So you had a period called Cultural Activity, CA. And all we did was, we wanted to come and see Hrithik dance.
Wow, even then.
He is so good. What a dancer. My God. He's fantastic. And I wasted my time. I was to be on the football field. I used to turn brown on the football field. And this guy is to dance so beautifully.
That's Jim and
Kabir. Yeah, totally.
And last one, I think this is Bigg Boss with Akshay,
Sanju,
and...
we went for the promotion of Desi Boyz on Bigg Boss. That's the 2 times I promoted a film there. So we went there. We had a lot of fun there. And I remember who I met in there. I met Ravi Kishan in there.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember that. When I went in, I met Ravi Kishan and he was really sad.
Why?
He was just sad. And then cut to, I met him when I was shooting with him for Batla House. A wonderful guy. One of the best actors.
True.
Wonderful guy. And he created the Bhojpuri industry. But do many people know that he's a Bandra boy?
Really?
Yeah. Ravi Kishan is a Bombay Bandra boy. And he created the Bhojpuri industry. He's a legend.
Insane. These stories are like
amazing.
Yeah, and it's fun how every picture has a story.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Perfect, John. Thank you for doing this with us, and wish you all the best for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks, Himesh.